people think about Camrys, you wouldn't blame them for falling asleep, because historically they're not a particularly interesting piece of automotive history if you're looking for something flashy. Because Camrys are typically, and this is reflected in the anecdotes that I have from all of my car friends, which is typically how we frame a brand or a badge. As we think about what sort of stories our friends have with a particular badge. And when it comes to Camrys, the stories aren't very exciting. So one of my mates whose garage includes things such as GTR XU1s and other Tirana SSs and a few other choice pieces of equipment, he has a good Camry story, and that relates to the older 2-litre twin cam 5-speed Camry wagon that he bought, and he was like buying cars and doing them up. So he buys something cheap, put about $2,000 into them, and then sell them for $5,000. So making a little bit of money, basically reconstituting old cars. Not to the level of restoration, but you know what I mean. And he loved his Camry wagon. In fact, he bought it to do one of these sort of replenishments on, and then on sell it. And he ended up keeping it for 4 years because, as he put it, you could drive the hell out of it and it just would not break. He could not break this thing. And that sort of carries on with other people I know that have had Camrys. And there's not a lot of them, to be honest, because it's not typically a car person type car. Now, the reason for that is because what Camrys are known for is dependability, reliability. They're the low-risk choice for non-car people. You know what, I need a car, I don't really know what I want to get, I'll buy a Camry or I'll buy a Corolla. You know, that's kind of how Toyota have got a foothold in Australia, if you exclude their rather fantastic history with Land Cruisers. I'll wait for you, buddy. Now this generation of the Camry is the first one that I've got into and actually felt some affinity for. The design outside has got a fair bit of character to it, whether or not you like it or not. I guess sort of takes a back seat to the fact that it now actually has some character. The previous generation Camrys, excluding the insectoid looking update to the previous generation, were a kind of fairly clean design but pretty bland, very vanilla. These ones, they've removed the vanilla, they've put in some interesting character lines and a lot of surface tension and details and all those things that designers talk about. And one of the things I do like is these big DLOs, daylight openings, so windows. It's got a low hip line, you can stick your elbow out and cruise in it. It's got a lot of visibility around the cabin. The back, I mean, it's got a high boot line, but that's kind of par for the course these days.
It's a wasteland. It's a wasteland.
But obviously the key feature for this particular model, which is the SL Hybrid, is the powertrain. Now, it runs on the standard 2.5 petrol motor from the Camry, which is pretty blah on its own, but it's backed up by an electric motor and a battery pack. So on a lot of occasions you can drive this thing around in EV mode, which it's doing right now, where it's using no fuel. Now when you're just driving around normally, when you brake, it applies a braking force to the electric motor, which creates electricity and charges the batteries, and that battery is what provides you motivation when you're doing EV driving. Now, on its own, the EV power is quite low. Look at it's just a stop sign. Driving around on EV power, it doesn't have much boost, but it's the initial motor to kick in. And the benefit of electric motors is the fact that they have maximum torque from 0 revs. So as soon as you put power into it, you can get as much torque out of it as you need. So the way that the Camry Hybrid drives is it starts off with electric power and then it adds in the normal petrol engine afterwards to take care of the more high-speed stuff. So really anything over sort of 40, 50 and 60 kilometers an hour, your motor's going to kick in depending on the amount of load that you have. And the benefit of that is I haven't got over 5.1 litres per 100 Ks in the whole week that I've had this car. And this is actually the second time I've had to go on this Camry. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I wanted to compare the new Corolla ZR hybrid, which has a similar sort of powertrain but a smaller motor, but it runs the same sort of setup. So it's an electric motor pushing a normal petrol motor, and those two combined drive through a CVT to get your car going. And the interesting thing is that this SL hybrid Camry actually has the same combined fuel consumption as what I got out of the hybrid Corolla. So that sort of demonstrates how efficient this car is. It is much, much bigger than the Corolla, which I found kind of cramps a bit, to be honest. But both of those two cars represent something quite important. So as modern motoring transitions to an EV future, and that will happen for quite a few products, these are the sort of transitional products that we'll need to get used to. And the way that the Camry hybrid drives makes that leap between the two quite easy, because you don't know the difference between this and a normal petrol Camry except for the price. Now, the fuel economy is quite exceptional, as I was saying, 5 litres per 100 Ks. So you can get in this car, drive it like it's supposed to be a mid-size, but it is a large sedan. Get in it, drive it like a large sedan, and still get exceptional economy out of it. And that is the key to good engineering. When you don't know the difference, you just get the benefits.